Good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Choy for Arirang News. Let's begin by zooming in on the latest North Korean threat. The reclusive regime appears to be advancing its ballistic missile capabilities. It test-fired a submarine-launched ballistic missile on Saturday and sent 3 anti-ship cruise missiles into the East Sea. Our Hyun-bin shares what experts are saying about how the communist regime is moving closer to perfecting the weaponry and what kind of threat it will pose to Seoul and Washington.
In recent years, North Korea has proven its intercontinental ballistic missile capabilities through numerous test firings, and experts believe the missiles could even reach the west coast of the United States. On top of that, Pyongyang is coming close to miniaturizing a nuclear warhead that could be mounted on top of a ballistic missile. Now, North Korea has taken the threat to a whole new level by developing ballistic missiles that can be fired from submarines. If that becomes a reality, the communist regime could enter U.S. waters covertly and target key military facilities on the U.S. mainland. Unlike intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles are much more difficult to detect.
Submarines are not detected on radar and can only be detected via sound waves underwater, so our current missile defense system will not be able to detect.
On Saturday, North Korea claimed that it has successfully carried out an underwater test fire of a submarine-launched ballistic missile. If confirmed, it will be the country's first test fire of a ballistic missile from a submarine. Experts believe it's only a matter of time before the North perfects the technology. Later in the day, the South reported Pyongyang had fired 3 anti-ship cruise missiles into the sea off its east coast. After the test firings, the U.S. said launches using ballistic missile technology are a clear violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions, and warned that the North submarine-launched ballistic missiles could represent a fresh threat to the security of the Korean Peninsula. Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
And in addition to boosting its missile technology, it appears that North Korea has significantly beefed up its cyber warfare capabilities. A South Korean military official told local media on Sunday, Pyongyang has a total of 6,800 hackers, including 1,700 experts and 5,100 support staff assigned to hacking and other cyber provocations. That's 900 more than what Seoul's military cyber command reported to the National Assembly in October. The communist regime is believed to have hacked into South Korea's nuclear power plant in December, leaking key information. The regime is also accused of hacking into Sony Pictures last November over its satirical comedy The Interview, which depicts a fictional plot to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. To better counter Pyongyang, the South Korean military plans to increase its current cyber warfare team from 600 to 1,000. Russia held a massive parade on Saturday to mark the 70th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany during the Second World War. Many foreign dignitaries were present, but Western leaders stayed away. Shin explains why.
Hundreds of troops, tanks, and missile systems rolled down the streets of Moscow to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany during World War II.
In the 1930s, an enlightened Europe did not see a deadly threat from the Nazi ideology from the very beginning. And now, 70 years later, history is again appealing to our minds and to our vigilance.
President Vladimir Putin hosted 20 leaders, including UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon and Chinese President Xi Jinping. But many Western leaders, including U.S. President Barack Obama and the leaders of Germany and the UK, boycotted the event. The ceremony comes at a time when Russia's relations with Western countries are at lows not seen since the Cold War. Russia's annexation of Crimea last March and its involvement in eastern Ukraine has enraged Western leaders, casting a long shadow over their relations with Russia. Despite the absence of the Western leaders, Putin hosted a reception in the Kremlin for veterans and foreign leaders. The Victory Day parade marks the day on May 9th in 1945 when Nazi Germany surrendered to the former Soviet Union, bringing an end to the war in Europe. Shin Arirang News.
Seoul's Special Envoy Yoon Sang-hyun was also in Moscow to attend the ceremony, where he met with North Korea's ceremonial head of state, Kim Yong-nam, who attended the event on behalf of leader Kim Jong-un. Yonhap News Agency reported that the two had a chance to talk briefly on several occasions, and Yoon conveyed the South Korean government's sincere hope for progress in inter-Korean relations. According to Yoon, Kim stressed the two Koreas should search for peace and unification by ending their standoffs. More details will be known once Yoon returns from Russia on Tuesday. The presidential office of Cheongwade has urged passage of a controversial bill to reform the public employees' pension system during a one-month extraordinary National Assembly session set to open this week. Chief Presidential Press Secretary Kim Sung-woo said in a briefing Sunday that it welcomes the extraordinary session, but that the pension reform bill should be the top priority. Kim also said the bill should not be linked to efforts to reform the national pension system. The country's two main rival parties have been wrangling over the public servant pension plan, which is expected to dominate the upcoming session that starts on Monday. Korea Fair Trade Commission is set to make it mandatory for organizations to make the results of regular safety checks available online. Yonhap News Agency reports on Sunday that the country's antitrust regulator is set to impose around $90,000 in fines for a failure to do so. The requirement applies to places where safety should be the priority, including the service sector and facilities management, sports complexes, and the aviation and transportation industry. This comes after Korea's public safety policies came into question following last year's tragic Seoul ferry disaster, a roof collapse at a resort in February, and last month's Asiana Airlines crash landing at Hiroshima Airport in Japan. Korea's tax revenue from tobacco sales has risen rapidly in the first 4 months of this year from last year. The government raised cigarette prices by more than 60% on January 1st to 4,500 won, or around $4 per pack. That month, cigarette sales dropped by more than half to 180 million packs from 400 million in December. Then sales rose to 250 million in March and then to 300 million in April. The price hike and the gradual rebound in cigarette sales worked to increase the tax revenue from tobacco sales. The amount of tax revenue from cigarette sales was about 600 billion won more, or around $551 million more in the January to April period this year compared to a year ago. China's central bank has cut its benchmark interest rate for the second time this year, a move aimed at boosting its slowing economy. The People's Bank of China lowered its benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points to 5.1% and cut its one-year deposit rate to 2.25%. This is a third interest rate cut in 6 months. The central bank said both reductions will go into effect on Monday to support the development of the economy. China's economic growth is at levels that haven't been seen since the 2008 global financial crisis. The world's second largest economy grew 7.4% last year, down 0.3 percentage points from 2013, and its weakest growth in 24 years. Summer is just around the corner here in Korea, meaning sun, the beach, and swimsuits, and a rush to get into better shape. To give you a helping hand, our Connie Kim offers some tips from a best-selling cookbook that will help you eat well and slim down.
Eating right can help you lose weight and gain energy, but it's often difficult to know where to start. Scottish nutritionist Gillian McKeith, in her best-selling You Are What You Eat cookbook, offers some tips for simple changes readers can make that'll begin to take effect almost immediately. The book, based on our hit BBC show of the same name, features over 200 recipes and includes a list of 7 foods that can help readers lose belly fat. From bottom to top, here you go. Number 7 is chicory, a leafy vegetable usually found in salads. Next is parsley, which is said to have a diuretic effect, and pineapple, said to help with digestion. Fourth on the list is bananas, which balance the sodium in the body and prevent gas from building up in the stomach. Brown rice and mixed grains, both high in fiber, tied for third. At number 2 is ginger, said to help with digestion. Though it may not be something you eat on a daily basis, you can slice it up and add a little honey and hot water for a nice warm cup of ginger tea. Curious about what's first on the list? Warm water, which stokes metabolism and increases food absorption. It also reduces gas and bloating. So ditch the ice water and keep some warm water on hand, and be sure to drink plenty of it. Healthy eating isn't the only ingredient for weight loss and living well. Trainers say regular exercise is essential for both. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Moving over to some sporting news, Korea will be hosting the next World Taekwondo Championships in the year 2017. The World Taekwondo Federation on Sunday said Muju in Jeollabuk-do Province has been selected as the next destination for the world's biggest biennial Taekwondo competition. Korea is the country of origin of the Olympic sport and has hosted 7 World Taekwondo Championships since the event's launch back in 1973. The competition is expected to bring an economic value of over $18 million to the surrounding area. And now the weather. The weekend was full of sunny skies and warm temperatures that were perfect for outings, but that's all about to change gradually. On Monday evening, we'll have showers nationwide with up to 20 millimeters of rain expected per hour on Jeju. A wind advisory has been issued for Chirisan Mountain and the surrounding area as well. Now let's check out the weather conditions outside of Korea, around the world. We've come to the end of our newscast. Thank you always for watching. Do have a great start to your new week.